Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat, our Sunday night shit
Cheers.
show. Cheers for sure.
It's shit time. Let's go.
Shit show. That's maybe what we should have named our whole thing, but it's kind of fun to have a little bit of a difference, even though we're always just covering the shit. But yeah, how are you?
I am good. I was telling you before the show, I'm dabbling with the new beer. It's a frosé. And if you're a non-beer drinker, you might like it because it's a sour smoothie, basically. And this tastes like I'm drinking some blueberry crap, but it's pretty good. It doesn't relate to beer much, but it's tasty.
It sounds really good. I know, and my question is always the alcohol content, and it's really, that sounds lovely, but it's a little light for me.
It's a little fruity, as my beer people would say. But
yeah,
it's tasty. How you doing? What are you drinking? You're drinking wine?
I'm good. I'm always drinking my Pinot Noir in my beautiful red glass that I love so much. I chipped my tooth again. I mean, it just like whatever they did. I know. So I have to go in really early on Wednesday, which I'm like, but I have to go because then I'm headed to New York for the weekend. So, yep, it's there again.
Yikes.
Major bummer. I don't know if anybody can see it, but it's there. I'm very aware of it. And yes, fish bowl of wine.
Get it.
But also approving of your delicious beer. Audra has her dark and stormy. Shout out, by the way, to you. Thank you for mentioning us as part of your fun Sunday. We appreciate that and thank you. You're always retweeting us, and a lot of you guys do that. And, you know, Devin, I know you do. I mean, a lot of you do. I don't mean to just only call out certain people, but it really means a lot to us when you guys do that. So thank you very much. Speaking of our deep gratitude to everybody, we want to thank all of our wonderful pup heroes and sheroes, our members. You guys are amazing. And you know, you support us in so many different ways. So we are incredibly grateful. So cheers to all of you. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, thanks. How did I chip my tooth? Probably.
Oh, is that what I should have asked? I should have been doing this conversation thing.
Probably as I was finishing off the last bit in my bottle and didn't want it to drip and use the bottle instead. Something stupid. No, I actually don't even know. But yeah. And Kimmy, thank you. That is so kind. Love those kinds of comments. Keep them coming. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard out here to feel very positive. So it's fun to hang out with all of you because I feel like it's you know, camaraderie is important right now, especially, but always. So cheers to all of you and thank you. Yes, we appreciate you guys.
Here. And personally, I just want to put this out there that I have my boss is on vacation for 2 weeks, so that's kind of a vacation for me. I mean, I'm setting.
Except you were working early yesterday on a Saturday morning when I was texting you.
That was because I didn't want to do it on Friday. I mean, that's when you set your own schedule. You're like, not today, and you just put it off, you know. But like, no work starts before noon is my motto while he's gone.
I think that's a really smart motto. I think everybody should do that in general. It's funny not having kids here. And not having to really set my alarm so I can work until late at night and then not set my alarm. There's something really fun about it, but it's like, oh, wow, I'm totally unnecessary. I'm so used to having been like necessary for two humans for such a long time. And now it's like, nobody really cares. It's fine. Anyway, good problems to have. All good.
That's why I got a self-feeder for the cats so that you can feel completely unnecessary. Yeah. You should have had that for your kids this whole time.
I really should have just like grab a Pop-Tart and get to school. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I know people really want to know about my cats. Pablo, my outdoor cat, got mangled in some brawl, like mangled. Like he's always, and it probably wasn't a cat because he's always fighting, I think, raccoons or possums or bears. I don't know. Who knows? But he's all right now. But I was really worried about him for the last few days.
Or what happened?
Well, like 3 days ago, he came in and his face was all swollen up on one side.
Oh.
And I was like, I got to get him to the vet, see what's going on with this. But it's hard to get him to the vet because he doesn't want to be captured.
Right.
His violence is like wild animal violence.
Yeah,
it's not like cat violence. It's like, the one time I did take him to the vet, I had him in the crate in my car, and he reached out of the crate somehow through a gap, grabbed my dashboard, pulled himself out with one arm. Like he's like those kangaroos that are all buffed.
Yeah.
He did that and got himself out of the car, out onto the dashboard. There are literally tiger claw marks on my dash going down.
Oh my God.
And I had to let him out because he was screaming at me, and I thought he'd murder me in the car.
Yeah.
So
wait, so
tough.
You didn't take him to the vet this time, but he's okay? Or
so
what?
I didn't, but I was watching it, and
he's okay.
Somehow when it drained down a little bit, you could see it was a huge gash, like really bad. So I've been putting Neosporin on, and it's already better, but there's my cat story.
Oof. I'm sorry. That really stinks.
No, I'm happy he's all right. I was worried he's going to die from it.
Like, I mean, that's scary. And I know we've got like coyotes all around here. So people are, especially with small dogs, are scared to leave their dogs out or like have a doggy door or whatever. I guess we're infringing on their space. So, animals have the right, I guess. All right. We better get started. We got a lot to talk about.
We got a show to do here.
We got a show to do.
Should we do our cheers?
Oh, yeah. I forgot what we were supposed to do. Yeah, let's
start with our cheers. So this was I had mixed reactions to this because I don't think she gave the best response, but I think she pushed back on Don Lemon. And if you get on TV pushing back to Don Lemon about his rhetoric, I appreciate you. So I just want to
agree.
We wanted to give her a cheers.
Yeah.
Did you vote yet?
Yeah, I voted.
You voted early?
I voted. Yeah, I voted for Jill Stein.
You did?
Yes, Green Party.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
people are going to say, "Oh my gosh, you're wasting your vote." That means another Donald Trump win. What do you say to that?
Do we live in a democracy or not?
Do you actually think she has a chance to win?
I think with our two-party system, not necessarily, but electorally, yes. My realistic thing is I'm not voting for genocide. So that's what Kamala and Trump are, right?
Well,
what I hate is genocide, and what I hate is capitalism, and what I hate is seeing marginalized people oppressed. Yeah. So when is the time for us to stand up and say enough is enough? Like, what is your red line?
Well, I think that you work with the person who actually has a real chance of winning, and then the more reasonable person, even though they may not agree 100% with what you believe, I believe politics is like public transportation, right? You want to get in a limo and you want to be delivered to your address. When actual politics and living in a democracy is actually the person that gets you closest to where you want to go, rather than having someone deliver you to your front door, which is never ever going to happen.
I just think if the delivery car is fascism, aren't we doomed either way? I don't know. I just think the whole system needs to be uprooted, and in order for politicians to serve the people, they need to listen to the people.
But you've already voted.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
I voted early because I'm cute.
Like that ending.
Yeah. Amazing that, and you see this online all the time. All of the Vote Blue No Matter Who crowd is not wanting genocide. Is like, oh wow, if you don't get exactly what you want, you're just a little baby and take your ball and go home, pull on your big boy pants. Like, that's your limo. You just want a limo.
I really disliked how he said, well, the more reasonable person, like he just insulted her to her core, to her face. Like, you're not a reasonable person. So let me give you this little kitty analogy about a bus. Like she doesn't know, she knows more about politics probably than he does. I mean, she's on the right side of genocide and he's not. I mean, that's
because she, just wants a limo. You just want everything you want. You have your red lines, your purity test. You don't know how to compromise, all of those. But they just have them all ready to go. And that's pretty much our whole show today. So just get ready to get angry but
to me, even if he's going to make that analogy, the way he put it to her was really insulting. He could have said, the way I look at it is what I'm looking for is the party that gets me the closest. And then the bus analogy, whatever. Yeah. But like a more reasonable person than you would believe this little analogy I'm about to tell you. And that's why you should listen to me. I'm so wise.
Yeah.
Oh, you already voted? Oh, fuck. Well, shit.
Yeah. Well, it's just a wasted vote.
I didn't save it with my analogy.
Yeah. But again, like saying that you want to vote against genocide and you won't endorse genocide is now considered, well, you just won, you know, the magical ponies of yesteryear. Those are Hillary Clinton's magical ponies.
And even using his analogy, if the issue you care about is genocide, are the Democrats getting, as a vote for Democrats, getting us closer to ending the genocide?
Well, Mehdi Hassan thinks yes.
Yeah, I think that's a real, I don't know. I mean, I say no. I think we're closer to getting out of it with Trump, sadly, but that's a whole argument they're not ready to have on air, of course.
Whole argument, because for them, I think from the most part, none of it matters. If you ever present the actual, like if you talked about the actual policies and put them on paper, those are things that we all railed against 24 years ago, 25 years ago. And now they're just part of the Democratic Party and they have nothing to say about it except but Trump. Like if you say, but actually Biden made this worse, Biden made this worse, Kamala says she's going to do this, which is worse, they will just say Trump will be worse. And it's all hypothetical because we know Trump's 4 years, which were horrible, but we know Biden made everything worse except for the NLRB. That's it, labor, but not across the board. He shut down 3 strikes. So like, let's not act like he's,
And if you keep getting on that bus with Democrats, it's dropping you off farther and farther away than it used to every year. It's not getting you closer. Every year, it's getting you farther and farther away from where you want to be. So if you got to take that bus for the next 20 years, is it better to say, you know what, this year I'm not taking that bus and maybe you guys change your path to drop me off closer to my house?
Yeah. I mean, we have, well, we're going to get into it, but we have somebody right now who isn't talking about a minimum wage, isn't talking about Medicare for all, isn't talking about canceling student, like none of the things that we were talking about in 2016, gone. So yes, we are the furthest right Democratic Party of my lifetime. That's not progressive pragmatism or whatever the hell, or I mean, that is actually exactly what it is. But like they make it seem like, oh no, we're getting closer all the time. No, we're not. We're not. We're the Dick Cheney. I'm not. The Democrats are the Dick Cheney party now. And the Lincoln Project.
Dick Cheney, the Liz Cheney, the Jamie Dimon. Did I say his name right this time?
Yeah, Jamie Dimon. He doesn't deserve it though.
I mean, who are the Democrats these days? Anyway, cheers to her. Much appreciated. Smash that notification bell.
Look at you taking over.
Like and subscribe.
Please do.
We keep meaning to do more random shows, which I think we've decided we're actually going to start doing. Yeah. So if you hit the notification bell, you know, if there's a video during the week that comes up that's interesting, we'll just come on air and share it and share it with you guys and chat more. I liked that we were watching the debate and chatting. You know, I think there's something nice about like just keeping it in the text and I'll shut up on screen sometimes, you know.
No, well, nobody ever wants that.
Yeah, but then it's not interrupted, but you don't have to listen to CNN on your own, basically.
Yeah.
Like you're
yeah. Misery does love.
Yes, company. It's that part.
Oh my goodness. All right. Before we start, thank you. Reflect the Sun. Amazing. Cheers to you. We so appreciate all those memberships that you keep gifting. Thank you. That's really nice.
Very sweet.
Thank you. Thank you.
It helps us.
It helps us a ton. So thank you. All right, let's get it started, right? I love this new intro, Pat. You did a good job. Watching those two people, white person dance, is so crazy. And we didn't even talk, because it happened a couple weeks ago, about Trump's 40 minutes of just standing on stage and dancing like that while different music played, because I think a few people fainted or something.
I missed it, but I watched a little highlight of it. But
Lord,
that Kamala dancing thing I saw in person, not that particular one, but very similar when she was at the 2020
DNC, right?
DNC in LA.
Yeah.
And the whole place was pro Bernie, top to bottom, screaming. Right. And this is all Democratic insiders, but they're all for him. So she had her little fake entourage, which was like fake support. Had, you know, pre-printed signs
or whatever. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Bernie's got like people dressed in outfits and like true like Rolling Stones vibe, and they're trying to fabricate that around her. So she was dancing around with all these signs, and it was totally inauthentic.
Yeah, like the Mayor Pete dancers, the higher love, whatever that song that they were playing.
Oh yes, the white, that was terrible. Yeah. We got to find that.
Yeah, we got to find that. I mean, I don't know how much like our eyes bleed, but yes. Okay, so just starting off, bad news. Okay, I will say, at the beginning, when they first, cooed Biden and brought her out, and they had this rollout, and it was all this joy, and even though it was making me sick to my stomach, I was watching people just like love it, and they had a good rollout for her initially. And, all of us who watched her 4 years ago, or who've lived in California and knew her from even before that, knew that if she started talking, unless there's been an enormous shift inside of her, it was all going to go downhill. And so I'm not happy about any part of the state of our world or our country. I am happy, though, that it's not resonating the way it should be. I mean, not the way it should be. She shouldn't be resonating, but like anybody should be able to beat Donald Trump. And instead, she's doing Hillary 2.0 and flailing, and it's neck and neck. And pundits are losing their minds. Dem elites don't get it. Liberal voters don't get it. I see them like, how is it this close? The country's so stupid. Why are, all these red states vote against their interests? And now they're like right away saying horrible things about Muslim Americans and Arab Americans. Like right away, they talk about, you're going to be deported and raped. And, if you're gay and you're anti-Kamala, you're, what would they do to you in, what would Hamas do to you, or Hezbollah? It's like, if you're not woke enough, we can bomb your country. I mean, I don't know. It's just, they are flailing.
Yeah, well, you lost abortion rights under your presidency. So, it's not but all the bad things really have happened under Democrats. I mean, the press is gone. They're not covering genocide. They're completely stopped covering COVID. So, like, what responsibility does the press have in all this? But now the press job is working for the Democratic Party to trash third-party voters in advance, maybe hoping that they actually get Kamala win. But regardless, trashing third parties preserves the status quo. And that's like the most important thing for the donors and the elites, is that nothing really changes in the system. So there's no uprising to fundamentally change corporate profits.
100%.
And the war machine. Those two things are the most important things to our government.
Those are the two most important things. And yeah, I don't think anybody... There's no way that somebody who says, hey, I am not voting, I'm like lifelong Democrat, but this is it. This is my red line. I will not vote for a candidate who is fully endorsing, supporting, arming a genocide. I don't think that all of this chastising and condescension and mocking, like Lawrence O'Donnell, and we're about to break down, must know that this isn't going to change any minds of the people who have left the Democratic Party, right?
No,
so
it's
really
because
just for his salary.
The red line isn't like, hey, some policy that I care about for my group of people. It's like literally we're watching a genocide unfold every day, and you're saying you're going to insult us for that one thing being our issue. I mean, I'm not voting for her. If she changed her policy overnight, I wouldn't
No, of course not. I would never vote for her. I didn't vote for Biden. I mean, no.
But
yeah,
for these normie Dems that are turning on her over this issue, you can't pretend this is a minor thing. This is a real valid red line. And it means if the Democrats are supporting genocide, which they are, they're all war criminals.
Yeah.
They should all be in The Hague. And you're going to just allow that and live with yourself?
Well, because Trump would be worse. I don't even understand that as an argument, but they all say it because there's nothing else they can say. Trump would be worse. Have you seen it? Trump would be worse. So there you go.
Look,
yeah,
he could be worse, but
he could be.
All of this is happening right now under us.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm not voting for Trump. Like, I'm not voting for him. And this thing of voting the lesser evil has gotten us to genocide. So that plan, that strategy, like, when do they ever do a little bit of introspection? Like the autopsy on 2016, instead of how did Hillary fail? It was Russia and those racist or whatever, sexist voters, right, and Jill Stein, right?
There's the genocide stupid this time around, 1000%.
Yeah.
And for her to not just shift her rhetoric even a little bit is just the craziest part. Like it would be so easy for her to actually not change policy, but just drop the canned response you've given for the last 2 months straight and put something in place that, you know, if I'm president, I will do this different in X way, Y way, Z way on Palestine. And that would placate a lot of these people who drew the red line with her, but she can't even do that.
I mean, I'm really grateful that she isn't able to do that, because I think people want to be like, they were hoping, you know, and they read into anything she said, any statement. Oh, she's more empathetic, like Joe. But she's more empathetic. They held out some hope. Then she picked Tim Walz, which was a real, you know, that was a bamboozle thing for a lot of people. They thought, oh, this means she's going to go progressive. It didn't all. And in fact, I'm more and more just thinking it's because she felt like, you know, the Pennsylvania guy, Shapiro, was a little bit too much hogging the spotlight. Like, I think he had like Gavin Newsom vibes for her, where she was going to get pushed out a little bit. But it had nothing to do with policy.
I forget there was some dirt about him coming out at the time that just dropped.
Oh,
and it was
right.
uninvestigated. So it was like, it was a risk.
Messy.
Where
it was messier, yeah.
It was just Tim Walz was a safe bet for her politically. And politically, it was the right pick. I mean.
Right. But But
she wouldn't have made it without Shapiro's baggage coming up, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so too. But also, I mean, it's really instructive that she won't even lie about it, about Gaza.
Exactly.
And right. But I'm really grateful that she's not able to, because people really want to invest in her a you know, moral rectitude or an empathy or a ability to be pushed. I mean, I don't know. Is saying you don't want a genocide pushing somebody left? Like, that doesn't even feel like pushing left. Like, what are we even talking about here? But but thank goodness she isn't able to.
When you have so little actual policy in your blank slate and you're just trying to win, it's easy, if people find you a little bit likable, for them to project their values onto you. And her not being able to transition even a teeny bit on Palestine really didn't help her cause. But I think, like you said, I think it's good, because if nothing else, people should vote knowing the truth and who these people are and what they stand for. And she is the blankest slate of political candidates we've ever had.
All right.
Blankest slate that won't be influenced by us, because, you know, that.
Oh yeah.
That's I mean, it's not like an open, we can push her something.
She's all career and all money, and the tech bros and the billionaires have completely invested in her. Although all right, we're going to get to all of this. Are we doing a wheel first? Or are we going right into the Lauren Dishano? What do you want to do?
Let's wheel it. I forgot all about our wheel.
Let's wheel it. All right, here we go.
Yeah, baby.
There we go. That's a good thing to start with.
Oh, I think we could use some music before we get into the heavy stuff.
Let's do it. Just don't get it. right. That was fun. I need them to work on their lighting a little bit. I have a hard time discerning exactly what's happening, but it was good.
And I'll have to find out. I pulled that and realized when I just watched it that it didn't have their name on it, and I don't have it handy. But they are a band that everything they do is all these home contrived instruments.
Right.
And
that's fun.
I really like the sizzle with the meat. That was like,
yeah, that was cool. I like that a lot. I like that. All right, so let's bring him on.
Ocasio-Cortez has had enough of Jill.
All right, so basically, just to set this up, I'm sure most of you saw it or saw clips of this. Jill Stein is running away with Arab Americans in Michigan, a must-win state of Michigan, and it's tied between Kamala and Trump, and they are all just freaking out. And instead of changing a platform or doing anything to meet the voters where they are just going to yell at people and say, do you want Trump?
Right.
So, yeah.
And they're on full attack. And like you said, what they should be doing, what Lawrence O'Donnell should be doing with this huge platform is reframing this into, if she won't change her position on Palestine, she's going to lose.
Yeah.
That should be an epic speech from him, and every journalist with an opinion piece who wants the Democrats to win should be saying that.
100%, both because it's morally correct and because it's politically correct. I mean, but no, they're just going to yell at, and by the way, I just want to say also the absolute bravery, courage of Jill Stein to know that, we've got we'll show all these hit pieces on her, and her kids are, talking to the New York Times about how they told her not to run. She is once again going to have the wrath of every single network, of every writer, journalist, in the legacy media. That takes a lot of courage. Some people don't even have the courage to cast a ballot for Jill Stein and against genocide. And she is doing this because the Green Party needs somebody to run, or, they lose their ballot access, but also because she believes in it, but she knows she's being vilified again. It's that's courage. What he's doing takes nothing. Just cash a check.
And it goes against everything he told us before he became a pundit for MSNBC. He used to tell us, so the Democrats need to know you're not going to vote for him if you want to change the policy, because he would never, when he was working in the White House, he knew he didn't respond to what the voters wanted, because they would just vote Democrat, period.
Yep. And he said, we have the clip, we've all seen it, but we also they have nowhere to go. The left has nowhere to go. I never needed to listen to anybody on the left. All right, here we go.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has had enough of Jill Stein, the Green Party candidate for president.
All you do is show up once every 4 years to speak to people who are justifiably pissed off, but you're just showing up once every 4 years to do that. You're not serious. You're not to me, it does not read as authentic. It reads as predatory.
Donald Trump became president of the United States thanks to the Electoral College and Jill Stein. The votes that Jill Stein took from Hillary Clinton in key Electoral College states were enough to help Donald Trump win Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Donald Trump is very grateful to Jill Stein. He says that
we both stopped it at the same time. Yeah.
That has clearly been disproven. You have to ignore independent voters, the libertarian votes. It's just not accurate. And you also, for that to be true, you're assuming that everyone who voted for Stein would have voted for Hillary, which would never have fucking happened.
Of course. And, who is the Libertarian Party now? Johnson, I can't remember, in 2016. Gary Johnson. Yeah, got way more votes. Right. So if you're going to take away third parties, you have to also take away the right wing third party of libertarians and give all those votes to Trump. Right. You can't.
And do you want a democracy or not? Does democracy mean we only have two parties? Because if you want third, you can't blame people for voting for the third.
Yep. But also there were millions of people who had voted for Obama who stayed home. They did not want Hillary Clinton. She didn't even, and I mean, I know, like, but she didn't even go to Wisconsin. The, people in Brooklyn who were managing her campaign when those Midwest swing states were begging them for lawn signs, for her coming to do a rally, for anything, they said no. So,
And just another reminder that, I mean, we all have lived through this so much. We know it, and it's tiresome, but more Bernie voters ended up voting for Hillary.
Twice as many. Yep.
Twice as many Bernie voters voted for Hillary as Hillary voters voted for Obama. So the left ended up turning out their voters in support of the party more than they did under Hillary. So the whole argument has always been false.
It's always false. Yeah.
Regardless of it being false or not, who gives a fuck? Because the genocide's a red line. If that costs you the election, O'Donnell, come out here and tell the Democratic Party they need to change their policy. They need
exactly.
Don't shame the voters.
Do Republicans yell at their own base? I don't know. I don't really follow any of them, but I just never see this. Like, do they just sit there and chastise and condemn and like mock their own? I mean, obviously they do in policy, right? Like, Trump's not working class. He didn't bring all the jobs back. He didn't build the wall that he promised or whatever the hell. But like, to their face, he doesn't say that.
The actual, journalists, if you're going to call a Fox person a journalist.
Yeah.
But they attack the politicians that don't agree with them on the policy that caused the policy to fail.
Right.
Right. Like we didn't have the support of the Liz Cheneys.
Right.
They blame the Liz Cheneys and the
they
Democratic
blame the people
Party.
In power, not the voters.
Yeah. They put it where it belongs.
Yeah.
For what it's worth. But
all right, here we go.
He likes Jill Stein because she takes 100% of her votes from the Democratic candidate for president. And that's why the Harris for President campaign is now running this ad.
Jill Stein, Green Party candidate for president. So why are Trump's close allies helping her? Stein was key to Trump's 2016 wins in battleground states. She's not sorry she helped Trump win. That's why a vote for Stein is really a vote for Trump.
Jill Stein, I like her very much. You know why? She takes 100% from them.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
And
that's where she's spending her money. But let's just see. This is from Newsweek. According to a Noble Predictive Insight survey released this last week, Harris holds a narrow lead over Trump in a hypothetical three-way race. With Stein on the ballot, Harris's lead expands, pointing to a potential spoiler effect. The poll shows Harris leading Trump 49-47, but with Stein in the race, Trump's support dips to 46, while Harris maintains her 49%, suggesting that Stein draws more support from Trump than from Harris. I mean, I don't know if that all actually works out to that, but like, it's not a clear. Most people who are voting for Jill Stein would not vote for Kamala Harris.
Exactly. And the fact that it is surprising to see this poll, at least, suggesting that more of her voters are coming from Trump. But if you're a disenfranchised Republican who can't tolerate the uncouth way Trump is and the racism or whatever it is,
right?
Maybe it's not that stuff that turned you off, but maybe you are just agreeing with the war. You're disagreeing with this, genocide. So that's a lot of Republicans too. That's not just a Democratic issue. The younger generation is more in tune with watching this stuff unfold and seeing it. And why would they vote Trump if they're supporting Palestine? Yeah. So where's your home for that vote? It's Jill Stein, even if you're on the right.
Yeah. Yeah. All of this math never works out, because then it means if you vote for Kamala, is that a vote for Trump? You vote for the person you vote for. Yes, probably only one of these two people is going to win, but you have to think beyond November 5th, because clearly doing this way of voting that he is now deciding is the proper way to go has really destroyed our whole world. So, okay.
But if you want the bus, I don't know.
The limousine.
It's the limo.
Yeah. fancy, you fancy person. What, you just don't want your genocide?
Democratic Party is running this ad about Jill Stein.
You can tell a lot about a person by the company they keep. Like Jill Stein. Stein isn't sorry about swinging the 2016 election to Trump. And now she's being helped by MAGA allies and Trump's former lawyer. Longtime Klan leader David Duke endorsed her. And like Trump, she's cozied up to Vladimir Putin. Jill Stein, look at her friends. Because a vote for Stein is a vote for Trump.
These are the very first ads that a Democratic presidential candidate and the Democratic Party have ever targeted at a third-party candidate. For Kamala Harris to win, Jill Stein has to be stopped. And the only people who can stop her now are voters. Her family has already tried. When she told us she was going to run again back in October 2023, we asked her not to, said one of her adult sons in an interview with the New York Times. Asking not to be identified by name to avoid any personal or professional repercussions from associating with her. Jill Stein's children want no public association with their mother. What would it take for you to turn against your 74-year-old mother if she were running for office? That same son.
This is so appalling. I mean, it's really revolting. First of all, the whole Putin thing has been put to rest a million times. He knows that. He's not stupid, right?
He knows that.
In Russia, talking about press freedom, she actually, in her speech, lambasted Putin and his crackdown on journalists. And by the way, like, how many pictures are there of Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton not partying, but like cozying up to Putin? She completely denounced the support of David Duke publicly. Like, this is just all so dishonest and disgusting.
To include that here and act like she had something to do. Like, we know that the David Duke endorsement has nothing to do with him other than wanting to hurt Jill Stein. Like, it's not. It's not. Of course, helping.
They're not on the same page about any policies. It's ridiculous.
So this whole interview is completely unauthentic. It's just propaganda. I mean, which is what MSNBC does, but
yeah. But like, okay. And then just the difference between saying you're honored to have Dick Cheney's endorsement and parade around the country with Liz Cheney, who, by the way, voted for the Muslim ban.
Yeah. You should be disavowing that harder than David Duke's.
Yeah. And, you know, I was just going through stuff with the Iraq war, and somebody posted just a long thread, picture after picture of the torture, the humiliation. Obviously, we went there on a lie and killed 1 million Iraqis or more. We destroyed their country completely based on a lie, tortured people. That was the Cheneys. That's who she's honored to have. So like, you could do the same thing for her and it would actually be honest for Kamala. And instead, you're going to take these smear campaign. It's the same thing they did for Bernie. And the fact that Kamala, I get 20 different texts every hour from her and her surrogates begging for money. They have over $1 billion and they're going to use that and then still ask me for money. Fuck off. But they are going to use that money to smear Jill Stein instead of focusing for one moment on policies that this country is desperate for. And he's going to say the only way to stop Trump is to stop Jill Stein.
Save democracy. Stop third parties from existing.
Sue them off the ballot.
And vote for the person that never had a primary.
Has never earned a single delegate.
Hid from the press for 2 months after getting the nomination when she said she was going to earn it. And now she's in decline because she's talking to people like we said she would be.
Also, by the way, you know, it's like brings back strong, you know, those How to Stop Bernie vibes that Kamala was at and Mayor Pete in 2017, right? How to Stop Bernie. And it wasn't because, liberals are still so propagandized that I will hear them say, well, they needed to stop him. Michael Bloomberg got in the race because they were worried that if he were the nominee, he would lose. That's not true. That's a lie. Those same people, Mike Bloomberg and all the, muckety mucks who were doing their backroom deals on how to stop Bernie, they knew he would win. They thought he would win. They're very honest about that. But somehow liberals still think that the reason that they got in is they were worried that Bernie would lose to Trump. Nobody thought that.
Yeah. And I mean, we just had Peter Dow on, who was the top internet communicator basically for the Hillary Clinton campaign. And he admitted that they knew that Jill Stein stuff with Putin was bullshit. And he was pushing it back then. It's known. They had a whole investigation in the Senate on it. Like a whole literal
for 3 years.
shit pile of money spent
cleared.
to attack a third party for potentially being in bed with Russia over what they knew was just one fucking dinner thing that she happened to sit at the same table.
And by the way, they weren't even like, he came over to talk to Mike Flynn. And then they're like, oh, why was she sitting next to Mike Flynn? Oh, you mean Mike Flynn, who was part of the Obama administration also? Like, why was that okay? It was okay when he was part of the Obama administration, but he's disgusting. Shame on Obama. But like, just the last person you worked for is there is no integrity. They are so dishonest. It's disgusting. All right, let's keep going.
Son of Jill Stein told the New York Times, for her political activities, she does not have the support of the family. But Jill Stein does have the support of Donald Trump, who likes her and publicly supports her. Jill Stein does have the support of Vladimir Putin, and Jill Stein does have the support of some voters who consider Kamala Harris the lesser of two evils on the issue that they care about most, the treatment of Palestinians trying to survive in Gaza. None of those people have probably had the chance to read Bob Woodward's new book, which details how Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have been doing everything they possibly can every day to get a ceasefire and to get humanitarian supplies to people in Gaza over the objections of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who at first refused to allow even an ounce of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Those were Netanyahu's words to Joe Biden, as quoted in Bob Woodward's book, not a drop, not an ounce. Joe Biden.
Okay, we all saw that because he and Gallant and Smotrich said it publicly. We're going to do collective punishment, no food, no water, no electricity, which, by the way, they've been doing for years anyway, but they just like shut it all down. We all know that that's not some great reporting. How can he just sit there and lie about them working tirelessly while they are sending bombs every day? They are vetoing UN resolutions for ceasefires. But I mean, I wonder, do the people who watch this, is this it?
Like he said, he put it out there. It's like, well, you guys didn't read the book because it's all in the book. It's all in the book. Like, I'm not going to tell you, but it's in the book. I mean, here's a quote from the book, but if you read the book, you would know you're in the wrong for voting for Jill Stein and that they're tirelessly working for a ceasefire. Meanwhile, in front of our own eyes, we know they're not. How can you tirelessly be working for a ceasefire when you haven't tried cutting off the weapons or putting contingencies on the weapons or forcing them to allow journalists in? And, this whole not a drop will get in. There's not a drop of aid getting in now. They've starved Palestine for almost 3 weeks now.
Yeah. Since the beginning of October and even before that. So what you give a little bit of flour and then you kill the people who are coming to the flour lines. I mean, none of this is okay. They know exactly what they're seeing. I mean, once again, last night I'm like scrolling through the phone and a father holding his 2 children dead, and one of them, half of her skull has just been knocked off. This is our bombs. They know this is what we're doing. And he is sitting here lying that they're working tirelessly, knowing, because he's not stupid, knowing that in 2021, Biden picked up the phone and said, that's enough, you have to stop. Knowing that George W. Bush and even Ari Fleischer, two of the most repellent people in the world, in 2006, I think, 2004 or 6, they killed 8 civilians. The number changes. Sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 12, when they were going after one of the higher ups in Hamas. And that was condemned by Bush, by George W.
Yeah, 8 people.
But he's just going to lie. Ilhan Omar called this out, a month ago, which we all knew anyway. But like, everybody knows this is a lie, working ceaselessly. And by the way, what is Biden doing? We even have a fucking president right now.
Fought through that resistance and got humanitarian supplies shipped to Gaza. And despite trying every day, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have not been able to get Israel and Hamas to agree to a ceasefire. If Donald Trump is president again, Bibi Netanyahu will decide exactly how much humanitarian assistance gets to Gaza, and Donald Trump won't care. If it's not a drop, not an ounce, Donald Trump will support that choice. Donald Trump will support anything that Bibi Netanyahu wants to do in Gaza or anywhere. Donald Trump is clearly the worst possible winner of this presidential election for anyone who cares about the safety and future of the Palestinian people. Donald Trump.
No, he's not.
Does it make a difference? It's like the thing of like, does it make a difference if AOC and the squad, whatever they are, don't take corporate money, but they support everything that the people who do take the corporate money do? Does it make a difference if Biden keeps leaking to Barack Ravid, the IDF, ex-IDF journalist? So angry. I told him it was bullshit. He's really, and then you just keep going around Congress, by the way, and repackaging your arms so that it's just under the dollar amount that you're allowed to send without getting the approval of Congress. Does it matter if you put up, this is the whole thing between Trump and Democrats and the never Trump Republicans, is they just don't like that he just says it outright. But the policy doesn't matter.
I would challenge him just on the fact that he's just told us that Trump would not say no to anything Netanyahu wants done. Where have the Democrats said no to anything Netanyahu wants to do? He shouldn't have been able to get away with any of this.
Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. That's all she ever says. Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. But how it does so matter. And then what's the other thing? Every time Lloyd Austin. Yeah, my brain just shut down. Fuck. Help me out, Pat. Every time he says something, it's they bomb Iran. Our support for Israel is ironclad. Yeah, Lloyd Austin. But it's like they all have the same script. I don't care what they say. I care what they do.
And they haven't shown us that they're going to do anything different. That's all. Nothing different. And they can't even signal that they might do something different. So fear mongering about what Trump might do when we know what you're doing is not working with people. So anyway, let's
Gaza's going to be gone by that point. It's almost gone now. Kimmy, thank you. Yes, it is really nice to get angry with everybody. Really appreciate it. Clearly. Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah. Are we spinning?
Oh, no, let's crank through this video.
Okay. I won't. Go ahead. You pushing your button.
Has never pressured the Israeli government to move toward establishing a Palestinian state. And so Kamala Harris is not the lesser of two evils on the issue of the future of the Palestinian people in a Palestinian state. Kamala Harris is good on that issue, but she is not perfect, not even close to perfect for Jill Stein voters. Jill Stein voters are allowing the perfect to be the enemy of the good. Jill Stein is perfect on the issue that they care about, and Jill Stein is never going to be elected to any office in the United States of America. Never. She will never matter. It's easy to be perfect on.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think he's hateful. And, Jen Perlman, hi, it's good to see you. Friend to show, Jen. I love that you're giving her credit for knowing anything. I just think she is so ignorant. I mean, I don't know if she knows that, honestly, but I mean, you are right. Israel does not have a right to defend itself against the people it occupies and dominates over, as we all know. But I have no idea, because every time Kamala opens her mouth, she just sounds so empty. I just can't, I don't know what she knows, but you're 100% right. And isn't this the guy in the video who says Democrats don't listen to us? Yeah, exactly. As long as they know they get our vote. Yeah, we've all watched that clip a million times, 100%. And yes, that is a disgusting thing to say about somebody. I'm sorry. That's like Trump level gross. She will never matter. Her kids, like, it's spitting out this disgusting hate. I mean, it is so vile. This is the campaign of joy. They are really scraping the bottom of the barrel. All right.
On difficult issues when you're not trying to win more than 1% of the vote. Jill Stein's running mate, Butch Ware, says Kamala Harris is, in his words, quote, the black face of white supremacy. Jill Stein's running mate calls Barack Obama, quote, a house Negro. Those are the words of Jill Stein's running mate. Jill Stein's running mate says nothing about Donald Trump. Jill Stein says nothing about Donald Trump. They are not running against Donald Trump. They are running against Kamala Harris, and they are running for Donald Trump. The New York Times interviewed Bob McMurray, a campaign volunteer for Jill Stein in Michigan, who said that he voted for Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden in the last two elections, but this time he's voting for Jill Stein, quote, even as he surmised that Donald Trump would be worse for Gaza. I've been voting my entire life for the lesser of two evils, he said. I'm tired of it. I understand that feeling, Bob. I voted for third-party candidates many times before the 21st century, but I've never voted in a state where my presidential vote matters. Massachusetts, then New York, and now California. Bob, my vote isn't going to matter in this year's election because we already know who's going to win in California. Your vote in Michigan matters much more than any voter in California or New York or Massachusetts or 35 other states. Bob, you as a Michigan voter have been entrusted by the founding fathers as one of the American voters who actually gets to choose the winner of the Electoral College. Oh my God. And you're tired. And because you're tired, you're not going to vote for Kamala Harris.
They asked a question during the debate about housing policy, and their big housing policy is mass deportations. Kamala Harris's answer is we're going to help you with your down payment, and we're going to take on the Wall Street actors who are outbidding everybody in for a house.
A vote for Jill Stein is a vote for Donald Trump. A vote for Jill Stein is a vote for mass deportations. If Donald Trump becomes president and Jill Stein voters are watching millions of people deported from this country, if they are watching their friends being deported from this country, their friends will know that Jill Stein voters are to blame for what Donald Trump is doing to them. They will know that it is happening thanks to Jill Stein. We'll be right back.
You know what? I really love that. Like, you blame the voters for what the person in power does. I, right now, blame anybody who didn't vote for Bernie in the primary in 2020, anybody who then voted for Biden-Harris for the genocide that's happening now. You all own that. Anybody, you voted for them, you own that. Good for you. I love this. This is
I could put some nuance in here, but no, I think we should go with his thing.
Yeah.
And if you don't vote for Jill Stein, you are responsible for the genocide directly.
100%. You voted for Biden, you own this genocide every day. This is a war. And, you know, I know, like, I hate excluding men from it. Like, it's horrible, and women, and just talk about children. But this is absolutely a war on children. There are more children with amputations, which is part of the joy of these IDF soldiers. They loved doing it in the peaceful March of Return in 2018. How many kids could they shoot out at the knees and make them have amputated limbs? So yeah, you own that. You voted for Biden. I guess you own your genocide.
I mean, it was disingenuous from the start, but like even the part where they put up Ware's statements, we called Obama the House Negro. Well, he didn't present to anyone that her VP is black, first off, because that dramatically changes a white guy saying it versus a black guy who has much more of a right to say something like that. I think it is kind of racist if a white guy says something like that. But, he puts that out there, and he put that alongside the David Duke endorsement. And those things trigger some people to think,
100%.
Here we go. She's a racist too. So I can't handle that.
This white woman. Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, fuck Lawrence O'Donnell entirely.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, just that's so vile. Let's take a little bit of a cleanse the palate.
Woosah moment.
Yeah, baby.
Excellent. I do need some more wine, but I'm going to spin again just for a second. Oh my God, my blood pressure is like.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, wait, all right. I'm filling it up, but I need to spin again. I'm going to take one away. I'm going to take one away. Okay, remove and
yeah,
here.
baby.
You even want to hear this guy?
I can't. I mean, the amount that I can't stand him now is really.
All right, we're gonna show puppets after this, though.
This is the most election of our lifetime.
I have done a lot of rallies, so I don't usually get nervous. But I was feeling some kind of way following Eminem. And I noticed my palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, vomit on my sweater already, mom's spaghetti. I'm nervous, but on the surface I look calm and ready to drop bombs, but I keep on forgetting.
Kill me. The joy, they're back to the joy, it's like he comes out and he shames black men.
Yeah.
Like, you black men don't
and Michelle
have your
did
own
that
beliefs.
last night too in Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's joy after that. Like, haha, cool, rapper guy, he rapped.
Yeah. Knowing that the reason that people aren't going to vote for her are, one, because of her time as Attorney General, locking up primarily Black and brown people for smoking weed, keeping them in jail long after they were they could be up for parole, not prosecuting rapist, pedophile priests, locking moms up for truancy. So that was one. And then also because of a genocide. And also, I do think there's just something, well, whatever, it's Michigan. So that's why. I mean, I actually really do like Eminem, but I don't know. They're just like all of it just stinks. And it's so, he became like the Spotify list president. That's all it is.
Yeah, none of it meets the moment. Like, we should be having this serious, heavy debate about Palestine and COVID also. Those two things should be what the debate's about, and economic stuff, obviously.
And the climate. I mean, like, there's really important things happening.
So much on the line now, and it going down the home stretch with Joy and Beyonce, and what are you doing? It doesn't work. Anyway, here's some cats. We'll give you a moment of joy.
Okay, I needed that. I feel a little bit like we're being like we just called out Obama for trying to spread joy, and now we're doing the same thing.
True.
I'm sorry. I do feel like there's a difference though, because we're not minimizing the limousine, wanting a limousine, or don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Yeah, well, we're not using that to cover for
genocide,
for policy and news. We're trying to
like have a few
give you
moments of joy.
a little because look, I'm too depressing to listen. Oh, strike! Did you literally just knock over my beer? You son? No, he didn't. She didn't. Sorry,
she didn't. I think she's mad that
knocked
you keep
over my
misgendering her.
My empty. Hello.
All right, so let's just do a quick rundown of what's happening here, because it's really not good. Harry Enton, who cracks me up for his like lack of chill, like he gets up there and there was a long clip on MSNBC, but he basically just goes through all the stuff. She's lost the working class voter, basically the lowest, even lower than Hillary Clinton in decades. But now he's actually saying that there is a chance that the former president, Trump, could make history by winning the popular vote, which Republicans haven't done in decades, in this year's election, which, again, anything could happen. She is talking general election is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous exercise because it all comes down to those battleground states. And they are, I mean, she's losing there also, but they're within usually the margin of error. But she's lower than she should be. She's lower than Biden was. I think she's even lower than Clinton was in 2016 right now.
Right. And the most likely outcome down ballot is that we have a split Congress. We have one party controls each house. But if Trump were to actually win the popular vote, most likely he would then sweep both houses. Because Democrats have no chance of sweeping both houses. Republicans have a small chance of sweeping them both. And so if he gets in with everything, I mean, that's a real atrocious campaign you've run there.
And they'll blame Jill Stein.
And Trump is bad. Trump is blowing it down the stretch too. I mean, do you want to show some clips of his lovely rally?
Yeah. I mean, not really, but yeah.
This guy opened for him. And you found one of the clips, and then I found a clip, and then I found another one. This guy was just so disgusting. But this is Tony Hinchcliffe. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. Again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody.
I mean, so vile. That's vile, especially because how hilarious is it that Trump is actually pulling Hispanic voters from the Democrats, and then he's got this guy come out and
they're running as if he's pro-Muslim now too. Like he at least he had the balls to have Muslim people come up and speak at his rally.
Okay, and they asked. Okay, so it was a 3.5 minute video. So we're very video heavy today, so we're not showing it. But in Michigan, which is where they have been, this Muslim Americans, a group endorsed Trump for president. The man up there, whose name I don't know, gave a 3.5 minute speech about how Trump says he's going to end the war and bring peace to the Middle East. Listen, everybody right now is operating in desperation. But Muslim leaders reached out to Kamala Harris's campaign to come up on stage also, and they rejected them. They even rejected a Muslim leader who had just RSVP'd to one of her rallies, and when he came to the rally, they made him leave. I mean, in Detroit, yeah. I mean, and this follows in January. Remember when some women came to another rally and the guy wouldn't let them in because they were wearing hijabs? This is when Biden-Harris, but it is so blatantly, disgustingly racist. And now we're going to show this clip, which might get us blacked out, but I hope it just gets us dinged.
Which one? Because we have another one of Tony being racist.
Oh, okay. You want to do that? Is it also racist? I didn't see that one.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a short
yeah.
one, but
okay.
There you go. And his whole set was racist, like top to bottom.
Yeah.
All right. Heck yeah. It's a cool black guy with a thing on his head. What the hell is that? A lampshade? Look at this guy. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm just kidding. That's one of my buddies. He had a Halloween party last night. We had fun. We carved watermelons together. It was awesome.
Oh my God. And then with
Carving
the ivermectin up there.
So this is the guy you can't beat? I mean, come on.
Well, no, because this is who you bring on. This is another person who's out there doing publicity for the Democratic Party, going on Jimmy Fallon. If we get blocked, we'll be back, I promise. But going on Jimmy Fallon with disgusting Islamophobia. I mean, like, Arabs are being genocided right now. I'm trying to think if they did this about Jews, like, and there was some like little hunched over person and like taking money from people with a big hook nose, people would be horrified. And this is
and for
like,
for him to be out
they
there,
always balance each other out, the racism and like the disgusting attitude towards people. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
well, no, but it's just he is a Zionist. He's a radical Zionist himself, and he's out here pushing this stuff to help Kamala, right? So like this idea that Palestinians want Kamala to win, you know, it doesn't jive. Like,
I mean,
they want genocide to stop.
He's making fun of a group of people from Kazakhstan, which saying that they're not allowed to intermarry, which, by the way, you're not allowed to intermarry in Israel, newsflash, that they like to eat cats and dogs. So basically, like, there's the whole, like, every single thing that the Trump campaign does that's disgusting. You know, it started with the taking the documents, right? Or like the Hunter Biden stuff and using your power to help your family financially, which obviously Trump does, the taking the documents, the racism. I mean, like, they just nullify each other, and Democrats just will never stand with any integrity and denounce something because they're just as corrupt. So here you have just equal racism, except that this time it's the allowed racism against Arabs. I don't know. It's so vile to me that anybody thinks that's funny, or that he thinks at this particular time, when every day we are watching Palestinians be slaughtered, massacred, genocided, that this is the way to go. Like, that shows how dehumanized Muslims and Arabs are in his mind, at least. I mean, I know he's not like an official surrogate, but like, who let that on right now? What are you doing?
I don't know. It's
so messed up.
This is the joy.
Yeah.
This is the joy.
Yeah. We got you on the racism. All right. Let's just go through a couple more things before we then head over to the lack of endorsements, right? So this is Kamala's to-do list. And, you know, on what's today? Okay, so on Wednesday, my days get all messed up. Matt Karp had published that study where they talked to voters about which policies and which messaging really resonated. And the messaging that actually pulled Trump voters away and that pulled better than Trump's messages were all policy, and they were all, of course, progressive policies. As we know, we've been talking about this, you know, for now close to a decade. All of Bernie's policies, all these universal policies are widely supported by everybody, by not everybody, every demographic, right? By Democrats, Republicans, non-voters, independents, want healthcare, they want free public college, they want a Green New Deal, they want a living wage, right? So this is Kamala's day one agenda. Here come the readers. Cut taxes for more than 100 million Americans, strengthen Medicare, protect Social Security, work with private sector to build 3 million new homes to increase housing supply. Meanwhile, we have 28 empty houses for every homeless person. But also, anytime there is the public-private partnership, that means we're all getting screwed more. Pass the bipartisan border security bill to strengthen and secure our border. I mean, right there, like those. So 3 of them are means tested bullshit or like private sector bullshit. And then the border bill is actually like fascism and against what the US is supposed to stand for.
Strengthen Medicare and protect Social Security doesn't mean anything.
No.
And none of it, without the how behind these things too, it's useless.
Yeah.
These are just like,
well, deliver me a Congress. If Congress
this house
gives me a
believes
bill.
in peace and love and freedom, and that's
you can't even fight for that because now is not the time.
Yeah, but the next one, restore reproductive freedom. Okay, how? You lost it. You're not going to win both houses. You've made no.
Well, Trump would be worse.
Claim to how you're going to fix this at all.
Nothing. I mean, no, the one thing she has said is if Congress delivers me a bill, I will sign it.
Right, which they cannot and will not deliver a bill because you're not going to have both sides. And even if you do have both sides, you'll have some Joe Manchins out there.
There are so many ways, especially now, as you are like beating the drums about how the Supreme Court just gave absolute dictatorial power to the executive branch. But it's only good for Republicans, apparently, not for Democrats. But like there are lots of creative ways. And maybe there are issues with them. I know people have said like, oh, if you do like abortion clinics on federal lands, that like I know that there are some detractors from that. Even people who are, who want
you could do something.
You could do something. Publish the ERA. That could also be a way. Like there are creative ways to do something.
Are the abortion pill. You could guarantee access to the abortion pill everywhere. That paid for. Screw the whatever the
something. Like threaten states that nobody gets in the way of a doctor and her patient, and sometimes people do need abortions way past a time when they can take a pill for their life or for whatever. Like do something.
This just reminds me, somebody was arguing with me. Well, I didn't really get into it much, but on Twitter about Trump would be worse on Israel because he blocked humanitarian aid. He did that, like, his words, and Trump called and stopped the border bill. Like, he's not president. He's got all this power and you're in charge, but he's got all this power as not being president. And you can't come up with a plan to do something if you're president and you're currently vice president.
I mean, that's their whole deal, right? So Kamala made fun of him for not completing the wall the way he said he would, the way she and Biden are actually helping complete the wall. Obama.
And this goes back to the tour and why the more she talks, the less she's liked. Even on that issue, she's like, I don't know which interview it was, but she said, the interviewer said, so you're going to build some more of the wall, to her, because she's going to build some more of the wall.
They already are. I mean, Biden went around 26 environmental laws to continue building Trump's wall, right? If it's so bad, and as you said, like, oh, he defunded UNRWA. Okay, so is Biden. And he actually passed a bill where, in spite of there being no evidence, but they took the allegations from Netanyahu at face value, they have defunded UNRWA through 2025.
Until next year.
Yeah. The other thing that they did was, there's all this listeria outbreak right now. And I see all of these Democrats online who are like, oh, thanks, Trump, for, deregulating the FDA and the USDA. Oh, guess what? Just recently, USDA cut back on listeria testing nationwide. In the year leading up to a deadly listeria outbreak, Biden administration officials quietly made significant cuts to planned testing for germs across America's food supply. Thanks, Trump. And now we've got it with smoked salmon at Costco. We've had a different president for 3 3/4 years, and they're still going to blame Trump. Obama blaming Trump for getting rid of his pandemic playbook. He's right. That's gross. What did Biden do? Like, I don't understand this thing of blaming a president from 4 years ago when you've been in power and have done nothing to fix any of these problems.
I mean, it's one thing to fix them, but like, if these policies were bad, you should have undone them immediately. At
Day one agenda.
If you aren't truly one corporate party, you would undo those bad things that you run on, not keep them in place. But instead, you're going farther. You're doing less testing of our food safety. So how is the Democratic Party our savior? How are they the lesser evil? Because they're not even undoing the ratcheting to the right.
This is what it's what they always do. And even like things with the tax cuts, right? When they get in power, if you're lucky, they still, like, I think it was at under Bill Clinton, what was it at, like 24%? And then say again.
No,
I'm going to get it all
the highest
wrong.
Tax bracket.
Yeah, but when they ratchet it back, they don't go back to what it was before Republicans came in, right?
Right.
If they're going to do it, then it's always like a meet in the middle. Like they keep compromising, as we know. Yes, the ratchet effect.
It's
they
the
keep
Obamacare phenomenon.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like
the Heritage.
Well,
Foundation.
no, we didn't lower the prices back for healthcare, but we slowed the rate of increase.
Right.
Which means healthcare costs are still ratcheting up. It's just they're ratcheting up at 8% a year instead of 16% a year.
Right.
But they didn't go back to being affordable.
No. And what they do, and they do this every time. So instead of doing universal health care, which Obama implied he was going to do, or at least a public option, they take the right-wing Heritage Foundation plan, which is Obamacare. That's exactly what it is. Heritage Foundation, Project 2025. They take that, which is it's a horrible plan because, as we know, everybody's premiums have gone up. But because Democrats take that on, Republicans look at a plan that they loved. It was the Heritage Foundation. And now that's too liberal. That's communism. And now they want to go further to the right. Right? It's the same with like the border bill. That's a disgusting policy that they want to do. But now that's like that's the basement, right? That's where Democrats are starting from, is a fascist border bill is now the Democratic
fascist
policy.
Border bill. And Kamala is out there trying to prove she's pro fracking enough to get votes.
Yeah.
So how did that take us on the bus closer to what we want, which saves the planet? I want to get off at the stop where we save the planet.
Well, why do you need a limousine everywhere in your pony,
fracking.
your magical pony?
Yeah. Fracking is taking the limousine to your bunker.
Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. I mean, Obama just 6 months ago said something about, listen, if we can't get to 1.5% at 1.5 degrees, so it's 2, it's 3. You cannot do incremental pragmatism or progressive pragmatism or whatever with climate disaster.
No, I mean, in my lifetime, hopefully I live long enough to see this hell. But we're probably going to have 125 degree regular temperature in my lifetime. Like, that's how urgent this climate stuff is. And humanity is not going to survive this. And we're not,
no.
You can't say, well, a little fracking as a trait is going to be good.
All just for your donors. That's it. That's all. And she says that her values haven't changed. Well, the science hasn't changed. All right. Was there anything else policy-wise that we need to talk about before we go into the non-endorsements? Which, just in case anybody missed this, the title of our show comes directly from David Axelrod, Dem insider. I think he's a little salty because, you know, he was really pushing Mayor Pete. That's his guy, right? So he doesn't love Kamala. And then also, remember when Obama, because of COVID, like he shouldn't have been having a big birthday bash anyway. But then when he felt like he had to kind of decrease the guest list, he he kept all the famous people. Of course, Jay-Z and Beyonce get kept, but like David Axelrod and his insiders who were actually like with him through his administration, they were told that they were no longer welcome. So I think he's a little bit just, you know, peeved at the whole Democratic Party.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is
Word Salad City. That's where we get the title of the show from.
The things that would concern me is when she doesn't want to answer a question, her habit is to kind of go to word salad city, and she did that on a couple of answers. One was on Israel. Anderson asked a direct question, would you be stronger on Israel than Trump? And there was a 7-minute answer, but none of it related to the question he was asking. And so, you know, on certain questions like that, on immigration, I thought she missed an opportunity because she would acknowledge no concerns about any of the administration's policies. And that's a mistake. Sometimes you have to concede things, and she didn't concede much. But I'll tell you something. John King mentioned Bill Clinton. No one's going to be Bill Clinton, but you do want to relate to the people in front of you. She didn't do a lot of that. She didn't ask them questions. She didn't address them particularly. So she was giving set pieces too much.
not a great endorsement.
But accurate as all hell.
Yep. Yeah. So the newest thing is, you know, it's hard to know with the Washington Post and the LA Times. They're both owned by billionaires. I think for the Washington Post, it's much easier to surmise that Bezos put the kibosh on coming out with an endorsement because he's hedging his bets. He gets tons of government contracts. He's a billionaire and doesn't really give a shit about who's in power as long as it doesn't affect his pocketbook. But it is funny to see liberals melting down about that when we've all been talking about how having a billionaire owner of a paper is actually not great for democracy. And they made fun of all of us, you know, in 2016, there's that famous example of running 16 anti-Bernie op-eds or stories, in 16 hours. That's a pretty clear indication of the mindset of the paper that says democracy dies in darkness. That's from 8 years ago. And a lot of Democrats or liberals are just figuring out now that billionaires suck. But it's only because like they still really like Bill Gates and they like, what's the other guy who owns the railroads, you know, Warren Buffett. They're fine with them. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but them being salty that their billionaire won't endorse him, it's kind of rich.
It's hilarious.
This Bernie stuff. It's like,
it's pretty great.
Look, newspapers should not endorse.
Why do they endorse in the first place?
They should not at all. And I mean, to me, this is all just it's all hedging the bets because the endorsements don't matter that much anyway. But I think they're looking at the reality and the writing on the wall and that Kamala's going to lose this thing.
Yeah. Well, certainly that's the case for Washington Post, right? Like Washington Post doesn't endorse and no endorsement. And then hours after he announced that they're not going to endorse, Trump greeted executives from Blue Origin, the space company owned by Bezos that has a $3.4 billion contract with NASA to build a spacecraft to carry astronauts to the moon and back. So clearly, you know, he sees where his bread is buttered. Oh my God. Did I just press that or did you?
I did.
Okay.
Sorry.
This is the crazy meltdown. Here come my library readers. George Conway, Democracy Dies in Cowardice. Keith Olbermann twice. John Ralston. He's the guy who lied about a Bernie supporter throwing a chair in Nevada. Remember? Molly Jong Fast, Democracy Dies. There's so many Democracy Dies. Oh, you're disappointed in the Washington Post. They've never realized that the Washington Post was a propaganda rag before. This is the first time. Ted Lieu, I don't know who that is. Joan Walsh, she blocked me in 2016, canceled her subscription. Ouch. Susan Rice. Okay. Because they didn't endorse, and also saying that it's cowardly. Like, all they ever do is talk about how gross Biden is. Like, every paper, that's all they ever do. I mean, Biden, what's his name? Trump. I mean, listen, I always have to do this disclaimer. Can't stand him, hate him, never want to see him. His wife, the first lady, was the first lady in decades that didn't get like the cover of whatever Red Book and Better Housekeeping and all those things that they like. It's not to not endorse is not to show any great strength or bravery. Like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah, I mean, whatever it means, I think it's a good trend as far as that goes. I think if we had a third estate, fourth estate, fifth estate, what is it? Fourth?
Yeah.
That was from last show where I dropped the ball on that. But
it's a comeback. It's good.
The fourth estate's supposed to protect us from lies from our politicians, and they're not.
Yep.
And so to endorse in that process never made any sense if you're supposed to be an unbiased source here.
100%. 100%. And again, I'm sorry, but like, I just do not understand how you can be looking at people being fired for silent, peaceful protests, you know, at every major university, liberal university, Harvard, Cornell. They're not only their students are being expelled or confined just to their dorms or suspended, their professors, when people sit quietly in a library and just like with a Palestine should be free book jacket, you know, professors fired. We have cops in blue cities, blue states attacking peaceful protesters. We have cop cities in every Democratic state, Democratic city, Democratic run cities, and a genocide. Like, how can you look at Trump and say that that's more dangerous? I don't even understand it on the logic of it. How they are.
The fascism is on display with Democrats now. Now you can say Trump's fascism will be worse, and it might be, but like, don't run on his fascism when you're being so clearly fascist right now. And it's spreading not just from the government policy. I mean, it's like, did you see this on TV? They pulled an episode of Big Brother and photoshopped out the watermelon on her shirt.
Wow. No, I did see that Netflix pulled a bunch of Palestinian produced movies. And also, I think it was, is that I'm going to get the production company wrong, but a writer had her whole show just pulled that she was developing with them because she had written some pro-Palestinian tweets. Like, this is fascism. It's happening now. Yeah, this was the silent study in. Sorry. Oh, universe. Oh, look at that. Look at that. You got it. I was doing it all from memory. Yeah, I mean,
Microsoft workers fired for going to a vigil. University of Chicago evicting a student for protesting. Universally canceling a TV show production because the author is anti-genocide. Harvard Library suspending faculty for a silent study in. That's this week.
I don't understand why. I mean, I guess is it just that the money protects them? Do you really think that Lawrence O'Donnell is scared about Trump? Or do you think that's just like he knows that like we're all part of their reality TV show now, and that's like the antagonist? And
it's his job. It's like when Peter Dow was on our show, you know. Yeah, he might believe this is a noble fight on some level because Trump is so bad to you. But like, you're just saying things and exaggerating them and making the worst to paint your guy in the best light. And your guy happens to be Kamala. And that's what the news organizations are doing. Yeah. But as far as why, I mean, it's just that the weapons industry and corporations and Israel has had this long plan to buy our politicians. And I know it's a trope that everyone's owned by Israel, but like, they're so money pushes the needle in Washington. And when they have $100 million to run a campaign against you, to donate to anti-Israel people, you know, which we've seen, it has a chilling effect. And I don't know how to avoid, you know, some of the tropes of like Jewish takeover of you know, I'm not trying to be racist about it, but like,
wait, sorry. I was reading people's comments and I want to hear what you were saying. Yeah.
Well, it's just obvious that the country has embedded itself in our political sphere. AIPAC has too much power.
Right.
You know, they just do. They shouldn't have the power they do. And we know our values as voters mean nothing to the party.
Yeah.
It's just who's giving them money, and they get the money largely from AIPAC and other.
Right. But I mean, it's also obviously why we are always in endless war. It's why we don't have health care, right? Like it's all the money there, because sometimes I feel like obviously AIPAC does a lot of lobbying. They spend a lot of money both for the politicians they want and against the politicians they want to destroy. But, you know, Israel is still a client state. Like that is the US's outpost in the Middle East. The US is the empire. I mean, we are crumbling, but they're not doing anything in Israel that we don't want them to do. Like they don't do it without our sanction. And both parties are fine with that. And maybe it is because they're getting money from AIPAC, like on the sort of like more individual level. That's why individual politicians are more susceptible. You know, you hear John Fetterman talking about how he's a Zionist and what's her face, Kamala, you know, like all that. But like that is a U.S. I mean, it started off as a British colonial project. It is now a U.S. Western Empire project to have Israel be our outpost in the Middle East.
Okay, yeah, there are outposts, but it doesn't serve our interests as a country. So it serves the donors, it serves the people who have access to our politicians.
Yeah.
But it's not benefiting us. Them as our outpost is benefiting the war machine.
But
primarily.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
and those are the people who have access to our politicians. They can sit down anytime they want with our politicians. We can't.
Right. The heads of corporations across the world are, I mean, that like, because it does start to go into these sort of like anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. But the conspiracy is real. Like the heads of industry, the wealthiest people in the world, they are all one. Like when the WEF meets, those people have a lot of class solidarity. They're all on the same page. And it's not because they're Jewish. Like that's where it always goes. It's like, oh, Soros money. Like, yeah, I mean, some of them are Jewish, but some of them aren't. But it's money. Like it's the heads of industry who are deciding everything. They're deciding that we're not going to deal with climate change. They know we're all going to die. I mean, I think they're deluded. They think their billionaire bunkers are going to save them, but they have decided it's worth it to let COVID, like they are getting everybody used to mass death. That's their plan. They don't care. But I don't think it's like an Israel or an AIPAC project. I think it is the heads of the biggest industry. Like they rule the world.
Yeah,
they decide everything that happens.
The real problem is capitalism. It's not. I'm not saying it's AIPAC per se. It's just that. It's just that our politicians are bought on some level and beholden to capitalism. And so where does that money come that fuels the capitalist system that keeps them at the top of their game? It comes from the bomb makers. It comes from Israel. It comes from the corporate leaders. And all those intersect. And you see, you know, this is why you get the conspiracy theories that blame Jews for everything, which is absolutely incorrect. And I don't, I'm not going there.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of corporate interests that are largely, you know, you have Jewish people in charge of some of these industries. And so it all converges It's not that they're exclusively the bad people in this situation. Right. It's just that a lot of them are. It's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
I know. I'm trying to not.
I understand what you're saying. I really do. And I'm both trying to like help you out.
Racist that what I said.
because obviously like, you know, there's a reason that anti-Semitism and Zionism work hand in hand. That is the, you know, they work hand in hand. We would not need an Israel if we did not have anti-Semitism, right? And the Holocaust actually was incredibly beneficial to the Zionist project. So they do work hand in hand. But it is a white supremacist project. It's not a Jewish project, but it's also a project that is, as you were saying, based on capitalism and how to maximize the profit by extracting the most resources out of the Middle East.
Yeah. But even in so much of it is just not in anyone's interest other than the people who have the ears of the people in power. It's not helping Israel. It's not helping the US. In the long run, it's not helping a lot of these corporations, but capitalism means you fight for the most profit now, no matter what. And that's why the climate is never going to be a top issue. And that's why we can't let the Democratic Party keep ratcheting right and allowing this to happen.
Yeah.
Because they're never going to check themselves on it because they're too beholden to the money.
I mean, I do think that is the, like what you're saying, the contradiction of capitalism is also the contradiction of Biden's great Zionism. This is the end of the Israeli project, the way we've known it. They are now a pariah state, and it might go on for a while. They will continue to bomb and destroy people's lives, and it's horrific. But the fiction of what Israel is has been destroyed, and nobody moved that along as quickly as Biden, who claims to be a great Zionist. So, I mean, honestly, he's the accelerationist. Like, he's accelerated everything. He's accelerated everything. But yeah, it is. I mean, capitalism is a cancer. And it's destroying all of us first, but it will destroy itself as well. It's so depressing. Okay, so where do you want to go from here? There's so many awful things.
Let's spin the wheel one last time.
Yeah.
We'll get to.
Okay.
We have many angles we can go with.
We have many angles.
Yeah, baby.
That was the angle I was looking for. Let me just remove that 1 second. Pour myself a glass of wine and spin again. Wait 1 second.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, the bigger glass of wine. And because it's kind of getting late, I'm going to remove that one too. Just because, I don't know, I must have like the happy.
Yeah, baby.
No way. Come on. All right, I'm removing it. But I already poured a really big third glass that I'm about to start enjoying. But let me just spin again 1 second.
Yeah, baby.
That's what we need. A little bit of inspiration.
All right, you pick it. Which one do you want?
Okay, wait. Let me close this. I'm not even on the right screen. I've got lots of buttons I'm pushing.
Or Finkelstein.
Wait. I have to remind myself of what they are when I look at how we live.
Black liberation, Gaza hate.
Oh, jeez. Let's hear about. Let's hear a little James Baldwin.
If we were Irish, if we were Jewish, if we were Poles, if we had, in fact, in your mind, a frame of reference, our heroes would be your heroes too. Nat Turner would be a hero for you instead of a threat. Malcolm X might still be alive. And everyone is very proud of brave little Israel. state against which I have nothing. No, I don't want to be misinterpreted. I'm not an anti-Semite. But, you know, when the Israelis pick up guns, or the Poles, or the Irish, or any white man in the world says, give me liberty or give me death, the entire white world applauds. When a black man says exactly the same thing, word for word, he is judged a criminal and treated like one, and everything possible is done to make an example of this bad nigger so there won't be any more like him.
Jenna, sorry, I saw too late that you were rooting for Finkelstein. We will show that also. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's the whole thing about who is the worthy victim and who's allowed to fight for freedom.
Yeah. Should we show the clip? I think we should just stay with a little bit of the journalist piece of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of the U.S. ignoring targeted journalists.
Yeah, definitely.
Because this is kind of where we're headed here.
To what extent do you feel the US has turned a blind eye to this targeting of journalists? I want to just recall a report from the very early days of the war in October a year ago, when Antony Blinken reportedly asked the Qatari Prime Minister to, quote, turn down the volume of Al Jazeera's Gaza coverage. Today we had him saying journalists must be protected and far too many lives have been lost. But to what extent has the US enabled it?
Analyze the way that Blinken is describing the situation. You just quoted him. Too many lives of journalists were taken. No, Mr. Blinken, too many journalists were killed by the Israeli army. That's the way to say it. Their life was not taken by God or by fate. Their life was taken by the Israeli army that you support, you finance, you arm, and you stand behind it. So this hypocrisy, really, those hollow declarations of Blinken again and again, let's improve the humanitarian aid to Gaza, let's not kill so many journalists, let's kill a little bit less journalists, and then we'll have our peaceful mind as we wish. This shows the weakness and the hypocrisy of the American administration. Nothing but this.
I mean, thank goodness for Gideon Levy. You know, can we just talk about the report that he just did for Haaretz? Because, you know, obviously we know they are killing journalists because they do not want anyone to know what's actually happening. The only people who have been, the only international journalists who are allowed have to be embedded with the IDF and have to have everything approved / edited, modified by the IDF. And so right now they are, Israel is lying as it does and saying that, you know, these 6 journalists in Palestine in Gaza are Hamas. They're terrorists, just like the hospital is terrorists, like the kids are terrorists, like the refugee camps are terrorists, the mosques, the libraries, the universities, the bakeries, the bread lines, so it is so rare to get real reporting from anybody who's not just a person in Gaza who has got a camera and a press jacket and is trying to find internet access and electricity to tell us what's happening. Yeah. And they've killed like 180 of them now. But so Gideon Levy, who is an Israeli, who is, I think, probably still a Zionist, but as far, far, far to the left as possible Zionist, but just wrote this report in Haaretz about the beatings, humiliation, and torture of the IDF's night of terror at the Palestinian refugee camp. It was a night inhabitants of the Al-Farar refugee camp won't soon forget, located in a remote part of the West Bank. Remember, not where Hamas is. That's run by Fatah. It's one of the less violent camps, has no local armed groups like those camps in the northern West Bank, but still, this camp, on which Israel has imposed a partial siege since the start of the war, is also being subjected to frequent raids by the IDF. He goes on to describe one of the people who was targeted. Mohammed's brother, Sari, 45, is sitting on the sofa in Mohammed's fine home on the camp's main street. He's a broken person. He's lost 30 kilograms in the past few months. Sari was shot in the stomach by soldiers last December while he was crossing the road late at night. He says he was heading for a nearby grocery store, not knowing troops were in the camp. Now there's a stoma bag attached to his digestive tract. He's waiting, brutally thin, for another operation. The two brothers who thought they'd already seen everything are distraught over what happened on that fateful night. Mohammed estimates that soldiers entered 50 homes in the camp, 19 of them belonging to members of his extended family. The troops shattered windows, broke down doors, ransacked the homes, and roughed up the inhabitants. His nephew was subjected to outrageous abuse, the Mukhtar explains, referring to Muhammad Abdallah Abu Hashash, a student of 24. He's a lovely kid. He didn't do a thing, his uncle says. The student did not want to meet with us, but the Mukhtar told us what happened. Soldiers forced him to lie in his stomach on the floor of the bathroom in his house and stuffed sugar, hot peppers, and sage into his anus. This report goes on for like 5 more pages of just sadistic, humiliating, disgusting rampages. I'm actually shocked that Gideon Levy is still allowed to publish in Haaretz. Like, I think what's happening is they're realizing now that the world, that if they deny the genocide that is occurring and don't report on it, they will all be brought to the Hague. But I mean, Haaretz has actually done better reporting than the New York Times and the Washington Post, right?
That's the real shame of it, because if our institutions were reporting on this even remotely accurately, it would have ended months ago.
Yeah.
Long time ago. We'd had a 1 month retaliation and then it would have stopped.
Yep. And instead they just keep talking about October 7th, and Kamala keeps talking about the rapes, the non-existent rapes on October 7th, instead of the well-documented rapes that have been happening every day, sanctioned by the Israeli government and fought for with the right to rape riots. They talk about it on their like main TV stations.
Imagine if we had a press that was fact checking that right there, just saying that's not true. You can't keep saying that. But there's no opposition to war in the press.
No. There's if Trump lies, they call it out right away. The fact checkers. But they're saying, oh, well, Kamala doesn't lie as much. Apparently Biden, notorious pathological lifelong liar, is not as bad a liar as Trump.
Yeah, but when we talk about Israeli interests being embedded in our government, it's not just our government. UCLA, we can't even, I mean, ACLU, excuse me, we can't even get them to divest from Israel.
Yeah. Even though their staff wants that, their staff is asking them, the ACLU. I mean, that's crazy. That is so crazy. Yeah, the propaganda, it is so consistent, and they never retract their lies. Even when they're disproven, it doesn't matter. Okay. What about the do we have God, we have so much to show, and it's already 6:55. I can't even believe it.
Do you want to pick one more video, maybe? IDF labeling journalists. Should we go there?
Yeah. Let's just
this
continue on with the journalism. Yeah.
I'm deeply disturbed by this labeling. Unfortunately, it's a part of a pattern that we've seen from Israel in which they label journalists as terrorists. We've seen this not just in this current war, but in preceding conflicts in which they've killed journalists and then subsequently alleged those individuals with terrorists, never producing any real credible evidence. And we're concerned in this case that this is an attempt, if you like, to excuse any potential future attack on these 6 journalists. It makes them extremely vulnerable, and they were already extremely vulnerable. We've looked at the documents. They don't appear to be credible.
This is not the first time. We are not the only one saying that the Israelis are fabricating documents during this war. We're witnessing many standpoints from different organizations and from different human organizations. They accusing Israeli occupation forces of fabricating documents to justify their crimes. And this is clear about their way of the propaganda and their way of fabricated documents.
You know, just to go back to our US journals who are not endorsing, the LA Times also did not endorse, and it's being blamed on the billionaire owner's daughter, who said that they chose not to endorse for president because of the candidate's continued support for Israel in its war in Gaza. And she says this is not a vote for Donald Trump. It's a refusal to endorse a candidate that's overseeing a war on children. I'm proud of the LA Times decision, just as I am certain there is no such thing as children of darkness. There is no such thing as human animals. Now, she said that. Her father, the owner, said that she has no influence over the editorial pages, and nor should she. She's not employed there. She's not, as far as I know, not a journalist, even though I happen to agree with what she says. But that would have been the way to do it, right? Like, if you're not going to endorse, first of all, I know we've discussed this, but like, I agree with you. Papers shouldn't be endorsing people. I mean, I get, like, I don't know. Like, if it were truly Hitler, which I don't think Trump is, I mean, I think he's repellent, awful, and dangerous. I mean, I think Biden and Kamala are dangerous, but like, I understand that. But like, if there were one truly good candidate and Hitler, like, that makes sense to me. Like, I don't think that journalists should be so impartial that they're just like, and so here's the guy who wants to put everybody in cages, and then this person wants to give everybody health care.
Yeah,
but make it like, right.
But I think you handle that on an editorial basis.
Right.
Like, I, working at the New York Times, here's my article on why I support Kamala, or
as opposed to like the whole paper endorsing.
Right. A journalistic endeavor should not put their weight on the scale at all. To me, they should be neutral. Now, on an individual level, say what you want to say. You know, you can't separate yourself.
Editorials also. Yeah. Okay, so I agree with all of that, and I don't know what the truth is behind the LA Times decision, because the daughter is the one who said that, and then the father said, no, what we did was, you know, we had this whole long thing. We come up with like everything good or bad about both candidates. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically, like, just present it all to you and you make your decision, which in this case, where to me they're pretty much the same, that makes total sense. Like, I just want to know the facts.
Right.
Who jailed more people? Who killed more people because of your COVID policies? Who's produced more oil from fracking? Who's like, because you really want to go down that road, and you're going to find the much higher body count is with Biden Harris. The Nation also said they're not endorsing, and typically
that was more interesting to me in some ways.
Yeah.
Because they're a very leftist, openly organization.
Which I'm glad that they actually stood by being left, even though Joan Walsh, who is one of their like muckety mucks, blocked me. Just have to say that every time. But like, they made it very clear that Harris failed to differentiate her policies from Joe Biden's blank check support for genocide. As such, she did not receive their endorsement. Like, that makes sense to me, and that I think is what everybody should be saying out loud. I do not see a huge difference between these two. The difference I see is that corporate media and half of the voters, Democrats, will pretend to care about genocide, COVID, climate,
democracy,
immigrants at the border when Trump is in power. That's the only difference.
Well, you know, my thought on this too is like, with democracy at stake, that whole argument, capitalism doesn't care if democracy is at stake, because the capitalists just want inside access.
Yeah.
So that a dictator's fine. I mean, as long as the dictator will work with
fine.
me too, you know.
Yeah.
That's all they care about. So,
which is why, you know, that thing of like scratch a liberal, a fascist bleeds, is because liberals are capitalists, which is why to them, she's good, right? Kamala's good because she's the lesser evil. She's not going to affect their pocketbooks. There's no talk about any universal policy, no talk about healthcare, really, no talk about a minimum wage. Like, we don't have, it's not even there at all, a living wage. The last time there was a raise in the minimum wage was under George W. Bush. That's insane.
yeah, I mean, for that not to be front and central, along with a shift in policy from Gaza, as a Democrat, especially because we're known, Democrats, I say we, but Democrats are known to be the working class, you know.
Yeah.
We're going to at least fight for your minimum wage. We're going to fight for your this and that. Well, no, we're not going to fight for anymore. That's not part of our platform, really.
It's not at all. And they're losing the working class. How crazy is that? Also, you know, Sean O'Brien, who, you know, the Teamsters refused to endorse, and he spoke at the Republican convention, asked if he could speak at the Democratic convention, and they said no. Like, what is that fear of shutting down voices? They didn't have elected delegates, Democrats, who wanted to endorse Kamala, but who were Palestinian American, would not let them speak. Like, this is, I think most Democratic voters don't realize how sinister this is and how racist. Like, again, that Tony Hodcliffe, whatever, right-wing comedian who spoke for Trump, gross, like, so gross. But to me, it's scarier that Democrats think that Barat is funny, or that Democrats don't let elected representatives who are Palestinians speak at the DNC.
It is, but you know, when we talk about our liberal friends, you know, I get asked all the time by them, so do you think Kamala's going to win? She's going to win? I say, no, probably not. And it's probably the genocide. And they're like, oh my God, really? It's the genocide? Trump's going to be worse. And that's what they got. Trump's going to be worse. It's not any of the other policies. They won't get into the Palestine stuff. They don't have the data on it. They don't care. They're not affected by it. It's here. They're affected by, and they don't want, they just don't want to see him on TV anymore. That's what I really think it's about for most of the libs.
100%.
And I hate the guy too. You know,
no, I do too. But like, they truly don't care about any of these policies. Not a single one. Like, all of those memes are true. Like, whatever her face is, AOC Pelosi and her all whites down at the border crying. And then it becomes like, you know, it's not migrant facilities as opposed to kids in cages. Knowing that thousands of kids are still separated because Biden just let that go. They just don't care. They truly don't care about any policy. If you talk about policy, it's always just but Trump. They don't want to know. Trump would be worse, even though we had 4 years of him. And by the way, like, yeah, I think he would be. Like, he did a lot of horrible stuff that actually precipitated, like, pushed us towards this, right? With the Abraham Accords, with moving the embassy, with saying that the Golan Heights were officially, you know, part of Israel, having an illegal settlement named after him. But then a different person came into power, a Democrat, and didn't change any of that. Didn't get us back into the Iran nuclear, like, nothing.
But he said he'd finish the job. Okay, whose job? The job we've done for the last year, which is practically finished. I mean, we're starving them. There's no land there. There's no livable space left long term.
No. Yeah. I mean, it is, there is no logical consistency. It truly is every meme that we see. It's the bombs with, like, you know, the gay pride parade or a gay pride flag and the pink pussy hats. And, you know, this time the bombs are coming from a woman, all that stuff. It's very frustrating.
Indeed.
Did we bring like cheer, joy, or just total shit show?
I don't know if we had a lot of cheer going tonight. Sorry about that. It's one of those times.
I mean, one of those decades, years.
Somebody was mentioning we should do an election night show.
I think we should.
We should have a long night where we have people on. And
I will bring my 6-pack of wine right here, and we will invite some people on, and we will watch the returns. We're gonna plan it. Is that next week? Holy shit, we got to figure that out. Pat. Yeah, that's next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
No, wait, really? Wow.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna plan it. That'll be really fun. Do you have anything else you want to say before we move into the end?
I don't. Keep punching up.
Keep punching it. You still mellow?
Drink if you need to. Smoke if you need to. But do something to help change the world.
Watch the cat videos and the dog peeing everywhere videos. We love you guys. This is a video, and I don't know how much protesting has happened, but there are actually some truly anti-genocide people in Israel. They don't get a lot of attention. A lot of them have been jailed, even parents of hostages. I think an enormous percentage of Israelis don't think that Israel's gone far enough in their genocide, which is horrifying. But there are people who are brave enough in this lunatic nation to protest, knowing what they're going to have to face. These like rape, genocide soldiers. So this is in Tel Aviv last night. These are people who are actually saying it's a genocide and stop the bombs. And they are protesting knowing what they will face. So cheers to them. Cheers to all of you. Keep punching up, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Whoops, we're back.
Go ahead. Yeah, we're back.
מי שלא מוריד את השלט, לקחת לו את השלט. קדימה. קדימה, יצא שימוש בכוח אך ורק להורדת השלטים. שימוש בכוח אך ורק להורדת השלטים.